So hopefully you can hear me that I need to unpack. So I did go to the soup kitchen again today, and I'm going to start going every day as long as I'm able to, right? Now, let me tell you about the soup kitchen. It's a little bit of a very traumatic experience for me. It's a experience that's to be had, and I say this because y'all, as y'all know, the last time I went, I was really kind of taken aback because as soon as I stepped on property, it was like just all the different energies and the different spirits really got to me, right? Um, and it kind of clashed with, where I am in my life, where I want to be. For me personally, you guys know that where I am in life is a place of where I want to, where I want to be real with where I am, show my weaknesses and my vulnerabilities, but at the same time, I also want to be in a position where I'm connecting with other people that may have the same vulnerabilities and experiences. Now, I think the fear that I experienced last time was the reality that, hey, I'm here with these vulnerabilities and I want to connect, but I have a little bit of feeling that, perhaps these people, um, you know, we may not be on the same level, even though I talk to you guys profusely about being formerly homeless or homeless, however you want to see it. I talk to you guys profusely about the things that I've encountered in my life, and so it makes me feel like I have a green card to this segment because I've experienced this. I've been court ordered to this. I've been through the legal system. I've been through homelessness. Over the past few years, I've been through some emotional, aka mental health things that are related to that, where I recognize, like, hey, this is not affecting me quite the way it should, right? I've been through domestic violence. Speak about these things. I have a right to in the presence where there's a need in regards to these things. But I also have an understanding that my experience as it relates to these things are not the same as some of these things that folks go through. And I don't want to say these folks because it's like saying you people, but I'm proclaiming to be, I'm a segment of those people, on the scale somewhere, right? But as soon as I stepped on property, my spirit was like, these are not, this is not who I am. Even though, paper wise, maybe so. Um, but here's the dilemma that I want. And I want to tell you people that have never been homeless, you people that have never been in the justice system, you people that have never been goody two shoes but been falsely accused of anything, you people that have not experienced, you people that have not experienced these things, I'm going to encourage you. And even if I encourage you to do this, you still may not get the full experience. Go to a soup kitchen as a soup kitchen client, or something like that, as a person that's going there to eat. Go to um, a court hearing, not because you have a court date, and go and vary it up on the types of court hearings you go to. Go to a murder, go to a domestic violence, go to a police, go and sit in on these so you can see what really happens. We all know that those are not places that we want to be, right? We know those are not places we want to be, but but the thing that can be poisonous is that if these are not places that we want to be and we never experience and we have a perception of it that we purport is true, that is like poison. And let me tell you what the dilemma is. So I went today, right? Did a thing, and I said this time I'm not going to be so open and so jovial, because, you know, let me try a different tactic, right? So I went in, I was a little bit later than usual, and like I said, God orders my steps and everything the way it should be. So, I wasn't, like right like 10 minutes early like I was for an interview or something. I came like in the midst, in the middle of where everybody was there, right? What I experienced is that when you go early, that's more likely when you see the real homeless people or the people that really don't have anything going on, because they show up like because they show up early because they know that it's perks of showing up early. There may be some additional free food set on the side. And also, you don't have anywhere to be, so you're going to stand in line and be first so you can get in and get out if you have somewhere else that you would like to be versus need to be, right? So again, going back to the dilemma about the dangers of having a perception or a viewpoint about something that you've never experienced and how that can be damaging. So sitting in there, I went and I sat and I made sure I wanted to sit in the back where I could see everything that's going on. And anybody with any type of wee bit of street sense or watch movies, you know why. So, I'm sitting in the back and there's a group of white folks and they're just sitting in the corner. So I sit in the back because they're all the way to the back with my back to the back wall, right? And different thoughts ran through my mind. One thought that ran through my mind was, what if they're really like neo-Nazis and they really don't want black people sitting here? And here I come, and now I'm going to wipe out all the white people that are sitting here because I decided to just come because I'm thinking like prison yard mentality. I watch movies. I come and sit here and all the white people are going to move. So especially since I got my afro nice and going. And the reason it's nice and going is because I haven't combed my hair in 3 days, and I just combed it today, and it puffed all the frizz out, and it's been raining. So, so here's the situation. So as I sat there, over the weekend, I've had people tell me where there's places to go eat and things like that on the weekend, but I didn't keep them, and there was a couple of good reasons for me going today, and I bought my little QR snippets and my scissors and my QR pages and everything, because like I told you, there was a lady there that I remembered I volunteered with before, right? And you guys, and I think she felt my vibe and she felt the energy where it was a little questionable, right? And questionable because it's always weird, like when you're volunteering somewhere and then you come back as a person that's, it's kind of weird because as a person that's been a client at places, it's, that they frown upon the people that are getting the services actually communicating with the people that are giving the services, again, because they like to keep things compartmentalized so folks don't really know what's going on. So, okay, once again, just a reminder of the topic or what the main idea is supposed to be here, of having perceptions about things you've never experienced before and sharing those and how dangerous that is. So, you know what, I went in and this time I was like, I'm not going to give that weird ass vibe, of not speaking to someone because I know that they recognize me, and we're not going to pretend like you don't see me and you don't recognize me, right? So, I came in, I spoke to everyone, all the people that were volunteering, and I know some of the volunteers may be held captives like slaves there. They're forced to volunteer. They may not want to be there. Then you have some people that are doing actual community service where they had kind of an option. Then you have people that volunteer just because, they don't have anything to do. They're retired and it makes them feel good. I get it. I get all of those. All of those things could be true of me. So, she did. And again, I think I'm getting cut off. But again, she really did not want to speak. Like I said, and I'm sorry this keeps cutting out. But he was white Asian. Is just what it looks like to me. And he told me basically, we'll call you if we need you to volunteer. Don't call here. And he sounded angry about it, and I didn't understand it. I was very chatty, and I got along with everybody. I don't know what the problem was. But I think part of it was because I was so happy greeting all the people that were coming in through the line. And maybe, perhaps, because he did make a mention of, everybody that's here is not homeless. Some of these people have jobs. I didn't say that. I was just really happy to be there. And maybe because I'm happy to be there, he's taking it the wrong way. Like I'm offering some great service. No, I'm just happy to be there because it's a service to me. It makes me feel good, right? And so then I noticed after that, and like I said, it was also small. I noticed after that people were leaving like random peanut butter and stuff like that. I'm like, why are they leaving this stuff? At the time, I didn't need it. I don't need that. Why are they doing that? And so instead of just coming to me and talking to me, they were doing stuff. So I would have to take the bag and move it somewhere else because I'm like, it doesn't belong to me. At first, I was confused. I was like, somebody's leaving their groceries at my door. So, so moving on from there. So I don't know what the whole deal is there. But again, having perceptions, the topic is having perceptions of things that you have not experienced personally, so you don't know the truth about. So as I'm sitting there, like again I said, there was a whole like the Caucasian table. I'm good with it all. So I'm having a seat, minding my business, and I'm human, so hopefully I'm hoping all of them don't get up and leave, because then I'll feel kind of bad. Even though they may really not want a black person there, I would feel kind of bad. I would like to think that people appreciate my presence enough to just want to stay a while. And so, I asked, and then one of the white guys, it was an older white guy, regular white guy, there was an older white guy. Should I be telling this story? I'm trying to think about this privacy. Should I be telling this story? Okay, I'm keeping all personally identifiable information out, okay? But anyways, there was an older white guy, and this is another dilemma. Should I be telling this story? Because even though I'm keeping, like specific details out, I don't want anybody to be identified because I'm talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Um, but anyways, a bunch of white people, different age groups. One white guy, and my first impression was, they may be racist and may not want black people sitting here, and they might all just get up and leave and be like, oh, we're gonna have to lynch her the next time. My imagination is wild. That's just, may not be true at all. Probably wasn't. So older white guy, young girl, about 25, 35, and a guy that was closest to my age, somewhere between probably late 30s, early 40s. I'm late 40s, by the way. But anyhow, so I asked because I wanted to know, where do people go to eat on the weekend? Like I said, I've probably been told this information before, put it in my phone, thinking I was going to put it on the website. My phone, for whatever reason, the world has a certain way of interacting with me where things just coincidentally happen at the right time or the wrong time, depending on how you look at it, right? Is this thing covered? Yeah, I don't want people to think I'm recording. So, so with regards to that, hello, thank you. So with regards to that, and that makes people uncomfortable too. Sometimes you're making eye contact with people at intersections because you want to make sure they see you and they're giving you the permission to cross. Because if they want, yeah. And so then I asked them. I said, because the older white guy looked at me with kind eyes. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Appreciate your kind eyes because, appreciate that. So, I said, hey, do you guys mind if I ask you a question? Where do you guys go to eat on the weekends, right? So they gave me the resource. Well, one of them told me one thing, but then the other one, and I was like, oh, what about Saturdays? And they were just like, basically, and you know what, homeless people, unless they trust you, they're not going to give out all the information, all the time, unless they trust you. And really, I'm grateful that they even talk to me now, because when I was really, really homeless, they wouldn't talk to me because, again, my appearance now has downgraded because I practiced so much, and look how practice makes perfect. Now I look perfectly homeless. But I didn't look homeless no matter what. And so they thought I was feds or FBI, and they wouldn't talk to me. Like, literally, they'd be like, she the feds, man. Don't talk to her, she the feds. And I'm like, and I'm laughing to myself because I'm like, that's so weird. Like, what? For real, And I lived in Overtown, and even there, they would say that I was the feds. I'm like, I live here. What are you talking about? But anyhow, whatever. And from personal experience, if somebody's the feds, you're going to know they're the feds. They will tell you, they will either straight up tell you they're the feds because they're trying to recruit you, and they won't hide it. Or it's so obvious because the acting is so bad. The guy that I was quote unquote dating when I was going through the legal thing, he was playing it there. He was feds. I was drugged by his boss. This all sounds crazy, but anybody that's been through these situations know that they are true. But and it sounds so weird, nobody would ever repeat the stories, but yeah. If you're with the feds, you will know, unless you're just like in La La World. Like I said, when I left that apartment that day and somebody said Maria, and I was like, yes. And I got so happy because I was thinking this woman, white woman, reminds me of I'm hoping it's somebody that I went to middle school with that just recognized me, when you're depressed. We as spiritual beings, we know who is who and what is what. You feel it. Trust your instincts, right? And sometimes we turn our instincts off because we are conditioned not to believe in ourselves. So, hey, we're conditioned not to believe in ourselves or trust our instincts and all of that. But if you trust your instincts, you can feel and tell. Your senses tell you. You know. You feel it. You know it. It's a knowing. You know. But But and you may try to deny it, but you know. But anyhow, so as I asked him that, you know, and at first they didn't want to tell me about the Saturday because Saturday must be the gold mine, right? And so there was a black guy that was sitting at a table down. And he says, oh, you know, and I said, oh, but I heard on Saturday such and such and such. And the black dude that was sitting at the table, looks like he might be a little bit younger than me, jumped in. And he goes, yeah, such and such. He's giving me information. And I'm like, okay. And mostly, you know, like I said, there are feds at soup kitchens and things. They're looking for people that are on the run and stuff like that. And you'll notice them. And usually it's a black person that really looks down and hip, but they don't talk too much. They're real proper and whatever. And I guess, you know, back in the day, I would fit that description, you know. You know, I try to look, it seems like I would be pretending to look the part, you know, whatever. But now it's, you know, people actually talk to me there because either they are the feds or they, I don't know. But anyhow, so what ends up happening is, you know, so he's, you know, giving me this information and I'm thankful, but he's sitting like a whole table over, so I can't really understand him fully. And then it's been said, I don't know if it's true, it's been said that I'm soft-spoken, I don't know. So, you know, I see him get up, and my thinking is that, because most black people, this is what they do when they see me coming, I see him get up, I'm thinking he's getting up to leave, because he doesn't need to be there, doesn't want to be there. And this black girl that talks too much, blackish girl, whatever, that talks too much, it's going to cause a situation because she talks too damn much. So he gets up, and I'm thinking he's leaving, and you know, they have tuna sandwiches, which are great. So I'm just like, hey, are you gonna throw your sandwich away? And he was like, no, I'm not. And he sits down, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate you coming over to keep us company, right? So he comes over, and he's talking, and he reminds me so much. When I lived in the homeless, and now I think I'm telling too much information, so I'm gonna leave details out, like where people are from and shit like that, because that doesn't matter. But he reminds me so much of this young man when I was in, was it Fort Lauderdale, somewhere in South Florida, and he was homeless, and he was so intelligent, he was so bright, he was so smart and so sharp. I mean, his mind was like on it, right? His mind was on it, and he was an artist. He was a poet, an artist, a musician. He was all of it, like really, like. Not just talk. We heard it, we saw it, you know. But when you're homeless, you don't have a way to really express that all the time. But he was it. And he had a chip in my tooth, and he had a little bit of a stutter, and it was from post-traumatic. He was assaulted by police when he was in New York, and they chipped his tooth and beat him up and whatever. And it was something about a girl, a police officer. He was talking to some girl. He was handsome. He was talking to some girl a police officer was dating, and he started like harassing him. You know, it was crazy. Stuff like that does happen. I mean, the stories I could tell you, if you ever go to a homeless shelter, the stories that can be told, nobody would ever believe them, but they're true. They are true. These people are not crazy. It's true. So, but that's the thing, though. If you just say people are crazy, anything they say will not matter. That's the scary part of somebody saying that, because you discount whatever they say. You discount them as a human being. They're no longer human. They're just crazy. So, and yeah, they may have symptoms of post-traumatic stress, because those situations they've been through have been stressful. But they're still human. Those experiences did happen. But people don't want to believe them because they are, you know, way out of the norm. You know, they are way out of the norm, you know, or what we like to think of as the norm, or what is purported to be the norm through media, right? So anyways, as this guy's talking, you know, we started chatting, and, you know, he said something that was really, it kind of was a sucker punch in the face, because he said to me, I do this. And it was not, it was a criminal activity. And I was like, oh, you know, I was taken aback. But you know me, I like to listen and I like to learn. I like to listen because that's another whole reason that the homeless thing, when I was going through it, it was so great to me, because you learn about people and their experiences. You know what I'm saying? And this is the part, again, where we're talking about the dilemma. The dilemma is, okay, so we're disconnecting and reconnecting. So the dangers of, you know, having an opinion on somebody's experience that you yourself have never been through, okay? So as this guy is talking about his criminal activity and, what he does, and, God bless him, and I love him, I love him. Also, I love the other person because, that's part of why I'm there, to hear the stories. And like I said, that's why the homeless experience was so fun to me, because you hear people's stories, true, genuine stories that's not made up. Because I'm going to tell you, if people are criminals, they will tell you. They will tell you, that that's what they are, and they don't have any problem with it. And one thing that struck me about my conversation with this man, let me hurry across the street. One thing that struck me about my conversation with this man was that, he was talking about, what he did, and I was just like, what? I was just so taken aback by it. So I asked him, I was just like, then he started telling me details of what he did, and I was just like, I was just like, well, and again, it's one of those things, like I told y'all, when I was at the Brownsville train station in Miami, and there was a young man that was sitting on top of this transformer or something, I don't know what it was, and he kept looking at me. I was kind of scared because I was like, it's just me and him. What is this guy gonna do? Is he gonna assault me? What's gonna happen next? I don't know what's gonna happen. He keeps looking at me, Why is he looking at me, And so, I think he was just sizing me up to see if I was an adult, because he was 19, okay? And I found this out through our conversation, that he could actually talk to, that he wouldn't have to hurt. So basically, and I don't know if, the hurt part came into it, but basically he asked me if I wanted to buy a CD player. Y'all know we ain't seen CD players since the 90s. And I was like laughing at him because I was all taped up. And I was like, boy, where you get a CD player from? He said he punched somebody in the face at the Government Center train station, where there are just a plethora of police cars, which shows you that people don't care about none of that shit. And I was just like, why would you do that? And, there was so many police there. You weren't scared? He was like, no, I punched him in the face and he fell out on top of the police car. So, the homeless experience is something, you guys. So, but anyways, God bless him too. I hope he's doing okay. He's got to be, I don't know how old he is now. He's got to be a lot older, of course. Got to be probably 30 now. But God bless him. I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay. I love you wherever you are, young man. I love you. Hope you're okay. But I know you're okay. I trust that you're okay. I love you. I'm sending my love your way. But kind of thing where, that moment of like, like, why are you telling me this? Like when that young man told me that he literally punched some guy in the face at the Government Center train station. The Government Center is in the center of the government. The police department headquarters is like really half a block away. There's tons of police cars there. There's tons of security. I'm like, what in the world? And so it's that same feeling I got where I was like in such shock, like, oh my God, am I in danger? Like what am I gonna do? It's just me and him at this bus train station. What am I gonna do? So I'm trying to stay calm because I can catch the vibe that he really just wants to talk. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, and so this is something else I want to talk about. That's why it's so important, for people that, as adults or older people, watch your thoughts. When I was younger, I used to think like, certain things I said, well, all fall short of glory, God has sinned or whatever. And I was like, I would pick a safe sin. There's no safe sin, because anything that's considered a sin, and not trying to be biblical or holy, but just looking at it from a morality point of view, anything that can be considered a sin, it's a sin, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, because if you do those things or have that manner of thinking, it takes away from humanity. It takes away from seeing a real person and getting to know a real person and developing a real person. So we got to get rid of it. Got to get rid of it. Anything that's quote unquote sinful, or that we even perceived to be morally, not great. Even if it's something on a small scale, So this guy's gonna let me go. So yeah. So as we were talking. Now he waits until I cross the street and then aims his truck at me. I should have told him to go ahead, because if all that, I don't want to have the appearance of about to get hit, because I don't want you to get excited and hit me. But So yeah, so that's the same feeling I got. Like when this guy was telling me about this criminal activity, I'm like, one, you're talking about it really loud. Two, you're telling me, and that's shocking the hell out of me because, I'm not really accustomed to people just telling me the details. You know, I'm not accustomed to that. That's not, And then the other part that comes to mind, and you want to ask yourself, well, what makes you think that it's okay to tell me this? But the point is, I do have a kind spirit. I like to think. I'm flattering myself now. I do have a kind spirit. I think I look the part. Not that I'm intentionally trying to, even though I've intentionally tried to in the past. This is just what it is now. So yeah. And then I think people too, they just need to be open. Like for me, I do. Y'all see me post on here any and everything because I'm proud of who I am. I love who I am. And when I think about it, maybe those people love who they are. Everybody loves who they are, And I think that I have more respect for people that are open and honest, because they're not actively manipulating people. That's what I appreciate. I hate people that manipulate. And that's one of the issues that I have with employment. Those people manipulate. I don't like manipulation. I don't like that. I like being straightforward, straight talk. If we're on a team together, working on something together, we need to be on one accord. We can't be on one accord if you're, alluding to this, alluding to that. You're leaving just enough open space so that you can change things around and make it something else. No, I don't like that. I like honest. I'm open, direct, and honest, and I clarify when I don't have openness and directness. Okay, anyhow. So yeah, so he's telling me all this stuff, and I'm listening. And there's another person there, and he shared a little bit about his experience, and it so happens they're kind of in the same boat and do the same thing, but they're from two different worlds. I don't know if they know each other, what the deal is, but I'm listening. I want to ask more questions, but this person hasn't finished sharing his story, so I'm letting him share it, And I'm going to tell you something about these people, right? Like, I see the beauty in it. And the beauty I see is this. Like, I don't know if you guys remember y'all don't remember because the video's probably gone now. But when I first was going through the legal system and I was able to post, one of the things I shared about how I was trying to petition people about my cause, and I was actually interviewing people that have been through the legal system and their experience, because I'm thinking, like, are most of the people that are locked up, are they innocent people that have been falsely accused? Like, I needed to know, like, what the hell was going on, because why the hell am I in this situation? You know what I'm saying? And why is it okay, and why is nobody outraged? But the thing is, there were people that were involved that were outraged, but I didn't have access to them because according to legal, if you've never been through legal before, according to legal, what was stated was, hey, you shouldn't talk to anybody but to a lawyer. You should remain silent. Remain silent for what? I didn't do anything wrong. I need to know what the hell is going on, And so when this person reached out to me, I was like, well, I was told not to speak to anyone, but I think this person genuinely cared. And when I started going through my employment, which I will do because I don't want to leave this earth without people knowing what my employment experience has been, truly, like each and every job, I want to talk about it, right? I think that, this person was just like, what the hell is going on? This person interviewed me directly, So, yeah, so I would say this, and things can be changed around. Just like when I post on here, things can be changed around. Just like when I sat in that soup kitchen and I listened to this guy's story, perceptions can be changed around. Because this is the part where I want to talk about the dilemma. Because as I was sitting there listening to this person's story, and then listening to different ways that they're able to get by and things like that, right? I started getting the eyeball from a couple of volunteers that were there. There was a black volunteer that looked like he's probably a deacon in somebody's church somewhere, right? Probably 60s, right? And the lady was probably saying they're probably both retired, right? And I volunteered with her before. And the eyeball that I get, because obviously the conversation must have been pretty loud. I noticed the black guy looking first, and he's probably like, what are they talking about? I hope she ain't trying to hook up. I'm not, but I guess from the outside looking in, if you're dressed like this and you're sitting there and you're pleasantly having a conversation, I'm sure It looked like you thought you were on a date, but no, I'm eating, and that's how I carry myself. But, that's probably what it looked like. So he was coming, I think, from a fatherly figure, from a nosy figure, and not in a bad nosy type of way, but trying to see what was going on, because he could probably hear bits and pieces of the conversation. Is this girl trying to get into this stuff that he's talking about? No, I'm not. I'm listening. I'm listening because that's the thing that the nonprofit was about, was giving a voice to the muted members of society. People that have gone through things like that, they're muted. You can't talk about these things. You're not supposed to talk about these things. If you do, you could be perceived the wrong way. No, I want to hear what this man had to say. I want to hear his experience, you know? And nobody can ever know people's true experiences if you don't listen. And I think that's what the problem is. People do not listen. So I wanted to hear this man's experience. And so I think part of the perception, though I don't think the black man really knew, so he was coming over to check it out, kind of walk past and try to catch what the conversation was, because he's hearing bits and pieces and it probably doesn't sound good. You know what I mean? Because the guy's telling his experience. The older white woman, she's looking at me like at disgust. And discussing, and this is just my interpretation of what she looks like. If I could make a QR code of a video, and address this with her, I would. But I don't know if they would even accept it, but we'll see. And that was part of the point that I went there for today too. But, so, all right, let's talk about it. So the woman, the feeling that I got from her was that almost like a parent, like, why are you talking to these people? What are y'all talking about? If she could say it in words. I felt like a motherly vibe, like my mom being really pissed at me for sitting around and being in company of these people having these types of conversations. But the conversations need to be had, People need a voice and people need to be able to be heard, And they cross the street because there's a moving shirt on. But people need to be heard, you know what I'm saying? But but she was pissed, the older white woman, and again, white just because she's white. I think she remembers me from volunteering and is thinking, has she gone to the CD side of things? No, I want to hear what this man has to say. That's the whole point of the nonprofit thing. I want to hear these voices that are muted, that people just completely discount. All the stories that you hear are not going to be good stories. I don't know this man. But just because, and see, this is a fallacy too. You know how people on college campuses, just because they see another person that appears to be around their age on college campus, they assume that it's a student and they're open with them. Just because this man has a pickup truck with a bunch of shit in it and is carrying something on a hitch in the back with a bunch of stuff in it, I'm thinking this person's just working and I'm waving back. I really shouldn't do that because I don't know what the perception is. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't do that. I don't know this man. But, Valdosta is small, but I've been here for 4 years. If I don't know you by now, and I don't know anybody by now. But that's the cause of me going out. But it may be dangerous to me because if people see me sitting around having conversations or entertaining conversations or listening to these conversations of these people that are sharing their experiences that are less than on the upper side of life. If you think of like, there's a white guy, and this is what I, back in the day when I was going through my legal thing, kind of similar to what I was doing. It's called white soft underbelly or something. I think he's a pervert, but he still get these people to tell their stories. But it's the same kind of thing. You're listening to people's stories. It doesn't mean that this is your personal experience. It doesn't mean that you agree with the things that they did, but it means that you're listening because this person, whether you like it or not, is a part of your world. Whether you like it or not, this person is a part of your world, and you have to give credence to it and understand it and grow from it. If not, if you don't get an understanding for yourself, then somebody else can come in and they can mold your understanding of things, and they can maneuver and manipulate your understanding of things in a way that will exploit you. And when I say they, I don't mean the criminals. I mean the real criminals that have the upper hand, the government, capitalism, all of that, So to keep yourself, and I've seen both sides. I've seen the homeless, I've seen the system, I've seen, corporate, I've seen all of that. So I know all sides of it, So it's important that we give a voice. But like I said, her look at me was so strong. It's what I would I would say is the equivalent of, my mom cursing me the fuck out because she's like, first of all, why are you in here? Why are you in here looking like this? Why are you in here looking like this to these people that are talking about criminal things? Because I want to hear what they have to say. That's how you learn. They are part of this world. And not to say us and them and they, but it's a human being with an experience, and I want to hear their experience, right? And then the other part of that too was there was a young mother with a young boy that he was 6 or 7 or 8. These are black people, sitting, and she's looking because she's hearing this conversation about what this man is doing, right? And she's hearing me asking questions. I'm asking, or I'm agreeing because he's saying, oh yeah, you can get this, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's true, and I won't say specifically what he said. And what he said is true because when I go to do certain things, I have to get that information. Sometimes I don't have it readily available. Yeah, but you can just look it up and get it. It's no problem, right? And, the woman, she's sitting there shaking her head. But don't shake your head. We know that you have your child right there, but this is a good learning opportunity. Let your kids know, hey, you heard that conversation they were having, this is a good opportunity to educate. And because when I look at my life, today was the first time I was exposed to that type of conversation, that specific type straight up, and I'm almost 50, but I think that when kids are younger, this is why I don't have children, because you probably get in trouble for teaching them shit like that. But when kids are younger, they should be let to be known or made aware that these things do exist, I think they should be allowed to be aware that these things do exist, and they should all be used as teachable moments. You never condemn anything. You use it as a teachable moment. Even with the employment things that I have that I'm going through, even though some of this stuff really angers me because I'm like, this stuff has got to be intentional because it's not just, I've been through enough companies now to know it's not just one specific company that behaves and maneuvers this way. It's a lot of them. All of them. It's the same MO, where, they have all these guidelines and things. They don't follow any of them. And they're only applied as they see fit to benefit them. But the rules are there for a reason. That's how I see it, And like I said, rules are there for protection, so I don't have to be exposed to your bullshit, But, we'll address it, God willing, because you never know what'll happen. But we'll address it little by little, as we can. What am I doing? Hopefully, I checked my app this time just to make sure that, all my ducats are there. My very small ducats, by the way. And they are on the app. So I should be good this time. The only dilemma I have now is with my debit card. Like I said, this particular debit card has an issue at this particular location. And then again, like I said, the way that the world works, it makes things look weird on me because if I am... exhausted. If I am, I've gone to this place before. I thought I checked my account. It had as far as I knew, it had a little bit of money in there for me to get what I wanted to get. But when I got there, the card didn't work. So I'm talking to this person, that person. It could be perceived the wrong way. But, and then I found out that, hey, it didn't go all the way through, but on one device it shows that it went through. On the other type of device, it shows that it's still pending. Now it shows that it's gone through on the device that formerly showed pending, so I'm assuming that it's gone through. But now the other dilemma is that this particular card sometimes has an issue at this place. So if I have an issue again, it's going to spark eyebrows. But it is what it is. I mean, this is the truth. And then on top of that, and it's like I said, the way that my life works, it's almost like, final destination, but not where there's physical harm, but final destination to where there's possible character harm, right? Because, and prior to that, when I was, I was at home, I told y'all I was going through my mail and sorting through my mail, and I wanted to get rid of all the physical mail because y'all know me, I don't want to throw away the mail, especially if I ain't looked at it, even though I know what the majority of it is, right? So, So with the mail, I was scanning everything. And so that, if I want and go back in and file it later, so if I want access to it later, I can have access to it later. But I had on gloves because y'all know it was on dirty shelves. And so then, I was like, I'm scanning all this information. And I was like, I don't even know why I'm scanning it because it's card information. And so then some guy gets on there, and I'm thinking it's probably somebody from my former employer. He gets on there, he's like, And I was watching, of course, like For My Man and those crime things in the background. So he's like, thank you to that judge in my legal case. Because I never watched that stuff before, but I do now. I definitely do because I see how small my world is and how unexposed I am to a lot of things. But now I have exposure. But so I understand that the world doesn't necessarily operate on goodness, and maybe it operates on the exact opposite of goodness. Okay, I was raised that, oh, if you're good and you go to church and this that, and another, God will bless you with such and such and such, but that's not really true. Actually, the people that don't, that are those ways don't have anything materialistic. Yours truly, as tribute. But yeah, so the world doesn't operate that way, and that's why I said, like I said, if I had kids, I would definitely teach them that that stuff is not true, and you would probably get in trouble because I remember my sister saying how she told my niece there was no such thing as Santa Claus, and she got a letter home basically kind of accusing of abuse, that, hey, why would you take Christmas away from the kids? She just told the truth, That's ridiculous, and that's why that's another reason I never had children, because I already knew those children don't belong to you. They're being programmed. If you go against anything that's being programmed, whether it's fact or not, it's going to cause an issue. And that's another reason why, when I was younger, things that have changed about me. I used to want to adopt children or foster kids, and I think children can benefit from that, but I'm so scared now because, nah, I'm good. People I watch, like I said, I watch these shows where people, natural children, are offing them, because they want to hook up with some dude. It's crazy. So, yeah, but what I learned though, also with that guy that I talked about that was there, that was talking about that criminal activity, I think he is part of the feds because he mentioned something. I told y'all about dumpster diving. I mentioned that, and then he was like, oh yeah, you could go do that at this, that, and the other place. And I was like, I don't think that's true, And he was saying that, but it's really not true. I'm walking past here now, it's not true. So I think that he's one of those Fed guys too. But yeah, and normally, like I said, people wouldn't speak to me. He's one of those guys. Because I'm walking past here now. There's no opportunity for that. So he's lying. Also, in other news about legality and things like that, though, if you have your phone, they have scanners where they can scan all your information off of your phone, even if nothing's on it. For the most part, my phone is 98% good. I have 1% bad in there because I had my moment where I needed help sleeping, and it's okay. I mean, to me, it's part of, it's true. That's my indiscretion. But yeah. But speaking of that, and I hope I don't get in trouble for posting this, but I'm going to say this. I tried to mention this before. I don't know what got me banned before. It was a combination of me talking probably, because I put a combination of two topics in one. It was about FedNow, which I've discussed, kind of tiptoed around it. And actually there's a channel called Really Graceful, and she doesn't mention FedNow at all, which I think it's so crazy because there's literally, if you go to the Federal Reserve website, yeah, that guy lied. He's part of the feds because there's nothing back here that you can do that. He made that up, and I guess that's probably why that white guy left too, because you could clearly see that that guy's lying. He hasn't been back here. He lied. None of that was true. And the last time I went to, there was a Fed guy that was there too. And see, when I say Fed people, like people used to call me the FBI because I didn't quite fit in. But no, this is true because this guy, he could fit in. He was charming. He was dressed very down. But, in his eagerness to kind of prove or show that, that he was smart and street savvy in Valdosta, what he said was, oh yeah, there's a Piggly Wiggly and such, you can go dumpster. And I was just like, I don't think that's true. I don't think they have that available. And I'm kind of scared of that because, some companies may be against you doing that. He says, oh no, you can go back there, there's all that. And I'm just like, and he was saying it like he did that. And I was like, there's nothing back there because I know I've looked, and I just walked past, there's nothing. So, so he's feds. right? Definitely fits. So, not that I have any aversion towards it, but like I said, you can tell, you know. But the people that are employed by the feds, and even normal, average lay people like you and I walking down the street, can be too. There's the civilian fed group where, you know, you can report anybody that's suspicious or whatever you deem to be suspicious. Or that's thinking against the grain. You can. I mean, there's so many ways that we can, you know, put each other in those situations. But yeah. So, and I hope they're open this time. If not, I will have enjoyed the walk like I did the last time. But not open. But I hope that there's no issue with my card or anything weird like that. Because now that been seen having this conversation or with these people or letting these people converse with me, that you know, that may be the perception. But no, just because I listen to a conversation doesn't mean I'm down with that. It means that I want to learn. I want to learn as much about survivor experiences as I can. You know, I want to hear people's stories. You know, that's so important. When you look at people that report the news, like this woman that was reporting sex trafficking, um, that was her thing. You know, she's really into that because she wants to hear these people's stories. Speaking of that, there's a woman, I think her name is Tony D. Rivera, not Tammy Rivera, but she talked about, and she's probably a couple years younger than me, maybe 3 or 4 years younger than me, probably my sister's age. She talks about how she went to Freaknik at 97. She was into dancing, not the bad kind of dancing. She was like 17 or something. She was young, right? And I haven't exercised in a couple days, so I'm going to. She was young, right? And see, this scares me. This guy is waving me over, and he's acting real erratic. I'm gonna have to duck into a store or something. Hello. I'm just ducking in here because I see a guy out there that's scaring me. And once he walks past, I will duck back out.
You're what now? I didn't understand.
Oh, I'm just ducking in here. There's a guy that's out here that I don't know. I was just walking past on my way to Walmart, but there's a guy that I didn't know that was waving at me, and he's kind of scared me, so I just ducked in here.
He just scared you.
Oh, yeah, you can't hear me.
I can hear you, but you
I talk
talking
too
that
fast.
way. You need to talk to me.
Yes, sir. So I'm just letting you know. I just happened to duck in here because there's a guy out there.
I understood that.
Oh, okay.
And he scared you.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you were aware of why I'm here. So, so I'm gonna walk around this
Okay,
corner,
help
then I'm gonna
yourself.
walk
Yes,
back
do it.
out. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Is that him?
yeah. Yep. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is just like a little thrift shop, a consignment shop.
Is that him there?
Yes, sir.
Well, why you come back out?
Because I need to get where I'm going, and it's kind of weird for me to just be
Are you
standing
driving?
around. No, but it may have calmed things down because I think.
Is he waiting on you?
No, he's not. I don't know him. I think he's just hanging out.
Okay, go the other way.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. See, and all right. So yeah, so let me share with you, and I didn't want to put the person on camera because I think that, okay, we talk about mental health a little bit. I think this person may just have like a, you know, I don't know, because like I said, somebody could say the same thing about me, but they're dressed. I think there's an issue, but I didn't put the person on camera. Hey, Belamite, hey, but I didn't put the person on camera because, you know, I think it's a situation where just someone's vagrant. You know, like I said, I have that appearance too, where just someone's vagrant and, you know, maybe a little bit mentally or emotionally impaired. So I didn't want to put that on blast like that. But the way that that guy handled it was very nice, you know. He asked, and that's what scares me too, he asked if the guy was with me. No, he's really not with me. And when I came out, he started saying stuff to me again. He's like walking back and forth across the front of this guy's store. And I don't know, maybe I should put him on camera, but he like he could really hurt somebody if he really wanted to. So yeah, but thank you to the nice elderly white man that has a little consignment shop or thrift shop in there or something that allowed me to walk through the store just so that I could kind of duck this guy. But he's got to know that that guy's out there because, oh, you know what though? I think that store is related to, there's a woman, oh God, I hope this person doesn't run me over. Like I said, they don't like to slow down. They get mad when they have to slow down. But there was a woman that had like a little consignment store back there, and she was a white lady. She was younger, probably a little bit younger than me, like maybe somewhere between 25 and 35. And she was such a sweetheart. Thank you. She was such a sweetheart, and she left there because the rent was too much. The rent for businesses here is expensive. It's like $2,000 a month. And maybe that's not really expensive, but to me that's very expensive. Okay, so but anyhow, yeah. So I think that might be a relative, but I think if I remember correctly, last year, or the year before that, she had a family member that died. I don't know if it was her mom or her dad, but this looks like it would be her dad. And she had like her kids or something helping her to move her stuff. Yeah, so if he's part of her family, I know he's a good guy. You know, it's a nice young white girl, lady. So I really appreciate that. That was really sweet of him. And I think she decided she was going to take the business online, but then she found another space. Oh, God. But yeah, this homeless thing is really something. Like, I mean, you know, like I said, I claim homeless so much, but then when I come back to it and I come face to face with it, I see that there's a lot. And I'm going to say this about your daily situations. If things are suspicious to you that don't normally happen, like it's not normal for when I'm at the soup kitchens, people are not that open like that because they have wisdom. Unlike me, I'm open. So if you have somebody that's willing to just jump up, and I needed that information, by the way, and come up to you, and he might not have even known where that Saturday location was, but just the fact that he spoke on it as someone that's portraying themselves to be homeless, it made them open up about it, right? And the way that I talk, I can be so stiff sometimes, and that's how I am. I'm really straight and narrow. But then after I left there, I walked around. The building, and then there was another location that was there was another location that was, related to that. And I saw people standing out there, so I went to go see what it's about. And it was actually a homeless shelter, right? And I asked them about the services that they had there. And my breath must really stink because the lady, she had on her mask. So next time I'm just going to ask them straight up. I'm like, because I'm going to ask, because if you can smell it through your mask, then that's bad. And it is probably bad. I don't know. Like I said to myself a lot. And I do have dental issues, so. But I want people to just say it. Hey, ma'am, your breath stinks. But I understand how it is because I've been around people with bad breath too. You just want to throw up. It's really like you don't even want to inhale anymore. So you can't, Yeah, so I owe myself 3 workouts. It's probably not going to be until tomorrow because I want to get the employment thing done. But I also want to have some type of food in the house, you know what I'm saying? Because it's bad. Like, I need to have some type of protein. I had 1 egg that I found yesterday, and I made an egg sandwich. And I was like praising God to the fullest, like, oh my God, this is so good. Yeah. And trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to mention about homelessness? But back just to the regular issues I was talking about first, the dilemma of, wanting to learn about people's situations. So you're exposing yourself to them, you're being open to them. And like I said, I think that he was feds because he didn't know. He's sharing that probably from case studies, or maybe he did do those things in the past, but now he's a slave of the feds and he's working for them now, visiting homeless shelters. I don't know. I don't know. But the stuff that he said didn't add up. But I think about back in the day when people thought I was the feds, you know, the only reason they were based there, because I didn't lie about anything or make up any stories. I think some points I was pretending to be real ghetto when I wasn't, because I was trying to fit in. But now that ghetto has came right into my personality, so it looks natural. But yeah. So there's a lot more to be said, but my throat is parched. I'm gonna focus on getting where I'm going, and we'll talk about it later. But again, the dilemma, people don't, if you don't know or haven't experienced something, don't judge it. And just because you see somebody listening to a conversation, they're learning. And that's the same thing you should be doing. Learning. You're learning about the world around you, the truth about it, not just what's reported in news and media, but the actual truth, first hand-on-hand experience, but also knowing from my point of being naive, don't get manipulated. I watched a lot of For My Man and Fatal Attraction where people do stupid things. And like I said, I've been watching that in the background, and I can see where, I'm so hungry. Okay, I can see where, I would have been a great candidate to be trafficked or something. So, whatever God put in my way to make sure that I wasn't is a good thing. Because they talk about people that always need love, people that don't have family, people that want to be accepted. I'm all of those things at 50 years old, so I'm thankful. But I'm glad that I have a little bit of common sense, even though not a lot. I admit that I'm very naive, where, I can catch on to things. Like that guy, he was feds. And I know he was feds because when I mentioned dumpster diving, he was telling me, yeah, you can go to this, that, and other. He was trying to seem knowledgeable, but that didn't add up. It didn't add up. You know what I'm saying? Stuff didn't add up because that's not true. You can't do that, There's nowhere hardly in Valdosta you can do that. Nowhere. Nowhere. Because they keep their stuff locked up for a couple different reasons. One, critters and rats. Two, you don't want a big mess in the parking lot because bunch of homeless people went through and dug through your stuff. So no, it's not a lot of places that you can do that at. And then three, people understand that people can live off of that and they're not trying to take away from their business earning money. But anyways, I think that's about it. Goodbye, love you.